Hello and welcome to another episode of the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast. This is episode 108. On this show we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host Ryan Cross from the Firearms Radio Network, your source for broadcasts for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. I am back in the saddle this week with my crew. I got TJ, Tony, and I got Rob here, and we might get Alex a little bit later in the episode, depending on if he wins his match or whatever he's doing, and he decides to jump on and join us. So, how's everyone doing this week?
I'm pretty good.
I'm cool.
Yep. How are you, Ryan?
Not too bad. What did everyone do in guns in the last 2 weeks since this crew's been on the air?
Yeah. I don't think I've done anything since I last talked about it. I honestly can't remember the last thing I talked about on the show, but I was on Handgun Radio, I think it was. I don't know, one of the ones with Ryan Machad. I forget if it was Handgun Radio or Gun Guy Radio that he actually aired it on, but we talked about my experience with the Lone Wolf Timberwolf pistol, which I'll partially be talking about today.
Cool. Anyone else?
Let's see. Big news, not a whole lot. I just went to a Friends of the NRA meeting last night. We're going to ramp up for a banquet in May in Raleigh, so looking forward to that. Raise some money to give to shooting ranges, local nonprofit clubs, stuff like that, to help spread the word and spread the good news of shooting and the wonderful sport it is.
Cool. Because we need all the help we can get. I took my new CZ75 out to the range. It was awesome. Shot really tight groups that surprised the heck out of me. That's one of the things I did.
It was
I
all
also
the gun.
shot a Thor.
It was
What
all
was
the
that?
gun.
Yeah, it was all the gun.
Not the shooter.
Okay, I got some skill, but that thing took me to another level. I swear. I got it from Maine Surplus. It's a police trade-in. I think the gun's like 25 years old. 25-year-old police pistol, and it shot half-inch groups at 25 yards. So I think it's just awesome. I mean, the CZ75 is an awesome platform anyway, but wow, is it accurate. What else did I shot? Oh, I shot a, I don't know if you guys saw the pictures on Simon Says Train on Instagram, but it was a Thordenson Customs pistol grip / stock fit AR that's New York legal. It just shows, if you go there and check out the pistols, the pictures on my Instagram account, it just shows what lengths manufacturers in New York have to go through to make a New York legal AR. It's ridiculous. It's ugly, but the sucker was accurate. They had a primary arms 1-6 optic on it. It's pretty cool, and a palmetto state upper. But that's what I did this week in guns. This last 2 week of guns.
Sweet.
Cool.
Yeah, those CZs look pretty cool. I know you got 2 of them. If you get tired of one, I might have to try to pry it from your fingers.
Yeah. Good luck.
Well, yeah, I moved last weekend. Obviously, episode 107, I had Nick from Handgun Podcast. I let him hijack it from us. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, did I say Handgun Podcast?
Yep.
No. Although I should have asked Ryan, because it probably would have been better. I'm just kidding. Nick did a good job. They talked about all surefire lights, and it's interesting actually having some like non-keyboard commandos talk about products versus. I mean, you guys are doing good work, but for speaking from me, sometimes my finger starts to turn blue because I haven't squeezed a trigger in so long. Without just dry firing doesn't really count when you're practicing by yourself. There's a joke in there somewhere, but we're better than that. So yeah, I moved a couple weekends last weekend. I was actually trying to do some hunting at the same time, and my significant other, she actually helped me out a lot, allowing me to do that for one, getting the permission, and her not screaming at me for not helping pack as much as I should have. But I was using a lesser weapon because in my game management unit it's allowed. So it was modern firearm season. I was using a bow. I was using all the tricks of the trade, using some trail cameras, using some urine, and just spraying the heck out of the whole area with deer urine to make it smell real good and get the bucks to come in. And I just kind of keeping track of the 2 points and the 2x3s, and there's a 3x4 that I actually had my eyes on. I think he's about a 3 to 3.5 year old deer. And, I got him down to a time schedule to where every day at about 5:30 to 5:45 he'd come out this one trail. So I ambushed him with the 308 with the suppressor on there, and it was a good time. Got him in just a couple hours. My fiance actually was out there tracking the blood with me, and she tracked it all the way to it. So she's now my designated bloodhound whenever I get a deer. Yep. So we've been eating. I already ate the heart, stuffed heart. It was pretty good. The liver was just stovetop pork flavor with some onions and some brown gravy. It was pretty good.
Sounds good.
The liver was gross. Not so much. Someone's got to teach me how to cook liver right, because it just tasted like it smelled right at when I was dressing it.
How'd you cook it?
I cut it into slices, and now we're going to turn into the culinary podcast, but the wild game culinary podcast. So I sliced the venison, or the venison liver, into about like half-inch strips, and then I kind of seared them on both sides for about a minute or a minute and a half, and then I put them in the oven in a casserole dish with the leftover stuffing and gravy that I had from the heart the night before. Just kind of reuse those ingredients, not let them go to waste, and it just still had that texture. I'm not used to that liver texture. I probably needed to sear it a little bit more.
Hey, TJ,
just deep fry it. That's what we do.
There you go.
Yeah,
we're from the South, baby. Fry it. It'll be great.
Deep fried liver. I'll have to try that.
Yeah, that's literally the only way I've ever had liver. No matter what animal it's come from, is the only way I've ever had it.
I thought that was the only cook it.
Yeah. Just battered and fried.
And this is a preview of the night show on the Firearms Radio Network, Cooking with Ryan.
Yeah, maybe, because I know it's got stores the cholesterol in the body, and it's got lots of them vitamins in it. But
it's a lot of iron.
Yeah, a lot of iron.
When we take care of my aunt's property, he's got a killer recipe for deer burgers. Man, I'm getting hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
so I used the Nosler. I was just gonna say I hand-loaded Nosler Akibons, 180 grains, and the shot was only about 70 yards, and there was still a lot of coagulated blood, where it shouldn't have been. So it was a good double lung shot. I missed the heart barely, thank goodness, because that's my favorite part. But yeah, it was a little messy. So I probably should have used a 270 or whatever. But I really like suppressing the 308. So
it's more fun that way, huh?
It is more fun.
You could hear it thump the hide.
Yep. And then just everything's quiet, and I can hear him running, and I can kind of, when he gets out of sight, I can hear him crashing through the little alders, so I can kind of track which way he's going with my ears. It was nice.
Sweet.
Yep, so that's what I did, and then I moved. So now I'm in a new undisclosed location. It is thankfully out of the Pierce and King County areas of Washington, because those are the areas that are the most nonsensical, non-common sense, gun-hating areas with the highest crime. Go figure.
Are they the
Starbucks? Seattle or
Starbucksy areas?
Yeah, well, there's Starbucks everywhere. You can't make that assumption, but those are the two counties that voted yes on 594, which was that initiative to make every single firearms transfer be tracked through the Department of Licensing, which has still not been completed. Like, Department of Licensing is like, oh, we don't know what to do. Yeah, but yeah, it was so stringent that the way it was worded was like a temporary transfer. Was me handing my friend a firearm and then walking away to go to the bathroom or whatever. Like, Like that was a temporary transfer. You know, all of a sudden that was his gun now, and that we all have a felony because of that. So it was just stupid. Anyway, we don't want to get into that.
My dad coming up to visit me and saying, "Here, go to the range with my new Glock and have fun." Nope, can't do that no more.
Well, I mean, there were some family restrictions to that, but it was just, it's all, I know everyone's just kind of ignoring it, except for if you want to buy a gun privately, a lot of people are still wary of sting operations and undercover officers trying to bust somebody on that. I think one person already got busted, but I think he might have been being an idiot. But yeah, so I mean, pretty much if you want to buy a used firearm, everyone wants to go to an FFL and just do the transfer paperwork there. So there's the paper trail.
Yeah.
But see, that's why I do what I do here in Jersey, because those little laws, the ones that everyone ignore, is the avalanche they'll hit you with if they want to nail you.
Yep.
And
right.
That's the thing that bothers me. They will use that to wedge into the door and then just nail you with every little thing. Hollow point bullets here. Hollow point bullets is like $5 per bullet. 5 years per bullet in your magazine if they decide to hit you up. I mean, it's the most ridiculous stuff, and that's why you fight these dumbass laws. Sorry, but it really is stupid. And you can't let them slip. That's why, okay, I mean, I'm going on my rant, but that's why you join Second Amendment groups that are local, because they see these bills come and they warn you about it through email, online, on Facebook, to tell you something is happening locally, because most people won't hear about it or pay attention to it because your local media will never even talk about these bills. Yep. But next thing you know, it's illegal for you to shoot somebody's Desert Eagle at the range with you. You know what I mean? You'll see the guy down there, he'll offer to let you shoot it, and now you're being cuffed. You know what I'm saying? Because he was an undercover cop and it was a sting operation. I'm just saying it sounds far-fetched until you read the law and find out it's totally possible.
Yep.
Let me tell you, they never thought that we'd round up people and put them in our version of concentration camps. FDR did that during World War II. He rounded up Germans, he rounded up Jews, he rounded up especially 8 people of Asian descent. Japanese people.
Exactly.
And Italians. And even if you were a German Jew, you still got rounded up and taken to resettlement camps. It was the same damn thing.
Yeah. And see, when we talk about that, people go, "That's old history." All right, let's roll back to this one. They weren't going to give you a seatbelt ticket when the seatbelt ticket thing first started out. It was just a courtesy. Then it was just a warning. Now it's a regular ticket. I mean, these things grow. They never shrink. They never go away because it's government. A government is like an organism. It wants to grow. And us as the voters in a free society have to stunt that growth.
Well said, but I think we need to get back on topic.
Yeah,
start talking about some gear.
True.
All right.
True.
So first, let's just hammer through the announcements real quick. So the bandwidth sponsor for this podcast is the Patriot Patch Company. Check out our newly added patches to the website. We've got the AR-15 bolt head or bolt face patch. We've got a her lips and his beard patches, where it's a guy with a big old burly black beard and he's biting down on a bullet, and then we got a nice snarling feminine lips biting down on a bullet or a rifle casing. So check out those patches. We're adding more here soon. This month we're probably going to add another half dozen patches to the website, so stay tuned for that. It's pretty awesome. Guests are always welcome on the show. If you're looking for a holster inside the waistband or outside the waistband, we got a promo code from Bravo Concealment using RTT Combo 10, and you get 10% off your next order at Bravo Concealment's website. Lastly, the winner of the Surefire Pro Comp break, that little giveaway we were doing for iTunes reviews, I would have announced that last week, but I didn't make it on the show. We did get that posted onto Facebook. Granted, it was a couple days late, so we apologize for that. But the winner is Daniel Straight. So congratulations, Daniel. Thank you for your honest review. He is iTunes user XDman525. He said, "Long-time listener, and the show does not get old. I enjoy the guests, and the host always gives the gear a fair review. No worrying of product bias, in my opinion." while talking straight gear can get a little dry, he does a good job of still making it entertaining and informative. Keep up the good work. So I really want to thank Daniel for that review, and I hope he really enjoys his muzzle brake. I also threw in some other swag in there too, some stickers and some other stuff. So enjoy that, man. Thank you very much. Now let's get into the product spotlight. First up, we got a new bullet from Hornady, and as a reloader and a hunter and somebody that likes to shoot as small groups as I can from the bench, this new bullet's got my interest peaked. So this is the Hornady ELD X bullet. So this is supposed to be a game changer when it comes to the bullet itself. So Hornady, I guess the story was, I'm watching their little video here. It's actually pretty captivating. I've already watched it a couple times, rewinded it to catch some parts and be able to tell you guys more about it. So ELDX stands for Extremely Low Drag Expanding. So what they did is they made a hunting bullet that has match accuracy. So it's usually when you're picking a bullet for reloading or picking a loaded box from the factory that uses a certain bullet tip, you're buying a box of Hornady ammunition, usually it's either hunting or a match. It's meant to expand on deer, giving terminal performance, or it's meant to be extremely low ballistic coefficient, or high in this case, but it's supposed to be just really good for making small groups, really consistent, really aerodynamic, all that good stuff. So I've actually combined those two technologies into one bullet, and it kind of happened not by chance, but just by experimentation, because they were working on a bullet several years ago to bring something new to the market. They were just about to start making marketing materials for it, and they were doing some testing using the Doppler system, and they found out that there was a little bit more drag on it than they anticipated, and so they were trying to figure out where that drag was coming from. It was actually the polymer tip of the bullet was melting. The tip of the bullet was deforming in midair because of the high temperature involved with the tearing through the air, and spinning. So according to their video, not sure how accurate those numbers are, but it was basically showing coming out of the muzzle at around 28 to 2,900 feet per second velocity, that tip was experiencing temperatures upward to 750 to 800 degrees, and that would cause the tip of it to start misforming and kind of melting and causing drag on that bullet, increasing the surface area on the very tip of the bullet in which that air can impact on, and it would just kind of gradually get worse and worse. So what they decided to do is just take another look of, okay, we need to have a polymer tip because they build a cavity behind it, and that's what starts that expansion when you're shooting at game. That's why there's a lot of hunting bullets that have ballistic tips, because that tip starts that as soon as it impacts tissue, it starts that rapid expansion. So they basically looked at different polymer technologies, different plastics, trying to find just the right material that had the low or the highest melting point, and was something that could be mass produced with the greatest consistency. So they found that in a new tip. It's obviously they've made it red to match their brand color, but it's a little bit more translucent. So if you're looking at like an SST or one of their other bullets that have a red polymer tip, these new ELDX bullets are have a translucent plastic. You can almost see through it a little bit, but it's still Hornady red. So they combine that with their interlock technology, which is obviously interlock bullets are really good for game, and then their AMP jacket, that was a separate line that was good for match bullets. They've took those two, brought them into one bullet, combined it with that tip, and basically you've got almost a bullet that excels at everything. It's got a really good BC, it's got match grade accuracy, and it's just got devastating hunting potential at far ranges, with a really good weight retention because of that interlock ring. So That's about as simple as I can explain it. Have you guys gotten to take a look at it?
Yeah, I don't follow bullet technologies too much, so I'm just gonna reserve comment.
Yeah, it surprised me. I thought this would be up your alley because of the whole science and research behind it. I thought you were a bright guy, TJ. I'm not saying you're stupid, but
Wow.
That's
You are
just not
so
nice,
dumb.
Ryan.
Hey.
You have
well,
offended
no,
me.
I mean, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Oh, you'll
Pretty cool.
get over
I
it.
just
I'll
don't get
send you
into the
some
bullet.
patches.
What's this text I just got from Jake? Firearms Radio searching for new host.
Yeah. Hey, obviously Ryan
What?
moved to Grumpy Land. That's a new place out in Washington somewhere.
No, I mean, I think this looks really cool. If what they're saying on their video, which is about an 8-minute vid, is accurate, this is probably going to be a decent round to do some hunting with. Now, it doesn't look like they actually, for those of us who aren't inclined to reload, I was looking to see if they actually sold these bullets, case primed, the whole thing ready to go, so you can just drop in your rifle and shoot them. I didn't see that. It looks like they're just selling just the rounds themselves.
No, I'm sure it won't be long, especially with some of the more boutique companies that make those up. I don't know, kind of like Buffalo Bore and stuff like that. I don't know if they do rifle rounds.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes,
Sure,
they
somebody
do.
will go along with them.
My thing is, it sounds great, but I do have to understand it's a 7-minute video from the manufacturer. But they do have a history behind them, though. It's not as if they're talking about, I don't know, grip ammo. So they do have a history behind them, and you can probably depend on them being a great round with the science they put behind it, because it's Hornady.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I've used their match ammo. I've used their steel ammo for the Mosin. Just they make good stuff. They make clean burning ammo. So I'm inclined to believe if they put this much time and effort behind it, it's a good product.
Yeah, it'd just be interesting to see once people start getting it in the field and start using it and see what the actual real-world tests come up with, or real-world usage comes up with.
True.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll kill things.
It's interesting that what we're seeing. Yeah, it'll kill things, but it's if you could just buy a lot of one projectile and load it in your load development for hunting and match shooting, or just you want to shoot good groups on the bench. A lot of people have a hunting bullet that just doesn't grip very well, but it gives them the confidence of that terminal performance, that it's going to expand, it's going to have the hydrostatic shock that you want. A lot of times, I mean, there's kind of two camps to it. A lot of people think match bullets are just fine to hunt with. I tend to, when the manufacturer tells me not to, I tend to not want to do that because they're kind of legally obligated to tell you to not do something because it's not proven to work well as a hunting bullet. But so it looks like what I'm looking at right now for their availability is they've got 6.5 mm at 143 grains, so that'll be for all the 6.5 guys out there. They've also got two 7mm, which is 284. They got a 162 grain and a 175 grain. And then they have four 30 cals. They've got a 178 grain, a 200 grain, a 212 grain, and a 220 grain. And I actually found that interesting that they did not choose. I guess the lowest they have is 178 grain. That's going to carry more momentum, basically, than typically 165, 168s are common for hunting and hunting at a longer range, or I guess the range is limited on those because of the momentum running out of gas, essentially. So, I use 180s in my 308, but with the 300 Win Magnum, I use 200. I don't know that I'm worried about my tip getting really hot when I'm lobbing a 220 grain. That's got to be a really hot, like 30-06 or 300 Win Mag, or some kind of fancy 30 cal cartridge.
Well, I was checking out the BC on the 6.5. It's pretty cool. I mean, like over 600 BC bullet core efficiency.
Yeah.
Or ballistic core efficiency. That's crazy, dude. I mean, this is like you said. Yeah, it's pretty much match ammo.
Yeah, and it looks like it's kind of reflected. Obviously it's a new product, but the price for 100, we're looking at about $48.33 MSRP. That's gonna go up when you're looking at the heavier 30-gram pills, about $54.08. So, I mean that's higher than if you were gonna buy just regular Hornady ammo. The AMPs or the SSTs obviously is way higher than just soft point lead tip. But yeah, it'd definitely be worth giving a try. It might just be I don't know if it's going to be the end all be all bullet, because I really don't think that'll ever exist until we have bullets that like self correct themselves and hone in on something.
Well, they had that 50 cal that or maybe a 20 millimeter. I forget which one it was that was kind of made the news a couple weeks ago. That was kind of like that homing tracking bullet.
And then you have tracking point.
Mm-hmm. So go there.
Only $25,000.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, yep, the website for that's Hornady. We got the link in the show notes if you want to check that out. Sorry if you're not a reloading guy and that went over your head. Just know it's cool. And for you reloading guys, you probably will find out more information on that. So you go ahead and do that.
It's cool because Ryan said it's cool.
Kind of in a funk, like, yeah. Well, I mean, just funny. Taking a week off from doing this, it's like trying to get back in the groove of keeping the momentum going.
Yep.
Feel like I haven't done this for a month. So next up, we got the.
I want to point something out real quick. Do you have a Magpul poster hanging up behind you?
Go ahead.
Do you have a Magpul poster hanging up behind you?
I will not comment on that. Yeah, I do. I did that just for you.
Nice.
Oh, it's the fanboy room.
Good times. All right. So we got that out of the way.
Moving on.
I'm surprised it took you that long to notice it, but that's a dope poster, man. I like that poster.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
right?
nothing wrong with that.
All right. So the Brownie X Bolt Varmint Stalker is what we're going to be talking about next. So this is a sweet. It's pretty much just a different X Bolt that they've put a new finish on the stock. And it's available in some different calibers with some different barrel lengths and rate twists. So it's going to be available in 204 Ruger, 220, 22 250 Remington, 223, 243, and 308. So basically, they're saying whether you're calling in coyotes or administering high-velocity lead poisoning to prairie dogs or groundhogs, the X-Bolt Varmint Stalker is an excellent choice for the conscientious varmint hunter. So let's take a look at the 22-250 is got a 26-inch barrel, and it's got a twist rate of 1 in 14. So that's going to facilitate the lighter bullets that are traveling at a much faster rate, I believe. The 223 Remington is a 24-inch barrel, and it is a 1 in 12 twist. And the 243, 24-inch barrel with a 1 in 10 twist, and the 308 is a 24-inch barrel with a 1 in 12 twist. So instead of going the tactical route, you want to shoot with a slower twist rate and wanting to shoot heavier bullets and possibly trying to slow them down and suppress them. It's kind of going the opposite. Those twist rates are actually no. I always get that mixed up. Those twist rates are slower, which are more conducive to lighter, faster bullets, where you'd want a faster twist rate for the fatter, heavier, slower bullets. That's the correct information.
Yeah.
the lower the number, the faster the spin. It's a little backwards.
Faster the spin. Okay. So the 22-250, that means that you'll be able to take advantage of the 60 grain and higher bullets that'll really put a good smackdown. No, did I get that wrong again?
Yeah, you did.
Maybe I should just quit. I should just quit. Okay, so
I don't know about other calibers, but I know like we'll speak in 223 kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, there we
That's
go.
kind of what I'm more familiar with the 223 with like the when like you said when you're going for people, I guess you could say you're going more for like the 60 to 70 grains with the 1 and 7, 1 and 8 twists because that's what stabilizes those. But whenever you're going down to these little varmint rounds and you get stuff into 35 to 40, 45 range, then you kind of need to speed up. And if I remember correctly, the M16, the original M16 was actually a 1 in 12 twist, which is what this is, and that was designed for the lighter bullets. And then I think whenever they did the 55s, they were tearing 55s apart, so they slowed it down a little bit, or sped it up a little bit, slowed it down, whatever we said.
Yeah. Well, what happened was
if it was a 1 in 12 and you took it down to 1 in 8,
they were barely stable.
That's right. It was doing the opposite. It wasn't stabilizing it, rather than
So what would happen with these? I mean, obviously, with the 1 in 12 twist light round, when you're varmint hunting, that means the minute this sucker hits, it's going to start to tumble at a 1 in 12 twist with a really light bullet. So that means a bunch of hydrostatic shock is going to hit the target, and that's when I watch people hunt prairie dogs and they explode. This is why.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is going to be the lighter grain weight and faster velocities, typically.
For kind of like the varmint grenade style ammunition.
Because I know when I got a 22-250, someone told me, oh yeah, you can load like 4,000 feet per second, and I was like fascinated. I thought, oh man, that's awesome. And then I was actually looking through my reloading book, going, oh, well that's like 50 grain. Certain ammunition barely hits that 40,000 feet per second mark, and it's taking so much powder to get there that I was kind of almost concerned about, starting to put a little bit more wear on my barrel than I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens when you start getting those high velocities.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm sorry for getting that mixed up. Like I said, I'm trying to get back in the groove of this. So the MSRPs for these guys across the board look like it's $939.99, which for an X bolt, it's higher than the traditional Woodstock X bolt, but Brownings are a high quality. I don't know if these ones are being made in Japan as well as some of the other X bolts are, but I do have first-hand experience that they are very high quality, very smooth action rifles. Go ahead, TJ.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just kind of for reference, the Black Hills makes that varmint grenade 223 ammo I was talking about, and it's 36. It's 36 grains at I lost it, 3750. So that's screaming, and that's what these that 1 in 12 is kind of made for.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
So if you want,
I think the Browning.
This would be the rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, I think the Browning rifles, X bolts. I was reading about them because I was trying to figure out what Browning made in America and what it made in Japan, and I think, I could be wrong, I think these are made in Japan. I think, but they're really high quality. They're really high quality firearms, pretty much around the heirloom piece kind of thing. That if you take care of this, you can pass this on.
The one thing I find kind of curious.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the kind of one thing I find a little curious about this is usually kind of it seems like when you have varmint type rifles, they tend to put like heavier barrels on it and such because you're more likely to set up for prairie dog and shoot all day kind of thing. But these just have a kind of a medium contour hunting style contour barrel to them. Well, it says heavy sporter, so I don't know. It may be the proportions that's kind of throwing me off because it's a fairly long barrel. Yeah. It's not necessarily like a thick bull barrel, but it's a little thicker than a. I
can tell from looking at this that that the regular X bolts have a much steeper taper to the barrel contour than what I'm looking at right here. So
yeah, I see that now that I scrolled down. I can definitely tell the difference. Oh well, disregard that.
Yeah, and the camo is mossy oak brush on that, so it looks like it's going to be very well suited for sage and other kind of desert brush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Browning X bolts, I think they're made in Japan. I know the A bolt is.
Yeah, I think the usual X bolts are made in Japan. I assume these are too, if they're just using similar actions. They call it a super short action. It's kind of interesting. The thing about the Brownings that's different than all the other bolt action rifles that you might want to be considerate of is that it's got a bolt lock button that's actually in the where the bolt handle meets the bolt. There's a button, a little rounded square button, and so when you actually you'll lock the bolt down and fire your shot, you won't be able to lift that bolt handle unless you actually use your thumb to press down on that button, and which will basically unlock the bolt. So then you can then throw it up and back to eject. So as far as high speed bolt action shooting for you're shooting at prairie dogs and you're missing and you're walking your shot in and you're trying to rack one in there quickly, it's going to be a little slower until you get used to that button, and a lot of people aren't used to that button. So just giving you guys a heads up.
Especially if you've got a decent scope or a big scope on there.
Yeah, if you've got a big tactical scope on there, your thumb is going to have to find that button, underneath that eyepiece. Wow. But it's got a polished chamber. The barrel is made out of steel. The stock is composite. The recoil pad it's got a pretty good recoil pad in there, kind of inflex rubber. It's got a little bit of textured checkering on the forearm and the grip. It's got sling swivel studs that are blued, so it's nice that that is included on there. The trigger has gold plated, and they've got pretty nice triggers. I'm not gonna lie, they really do. And I think it is drilled and tapped for a scope, so you'll be able to go into the your scope aisle or the scope section of whatever website you buy parts from, and you gotta find specifically X bolt scope bases in order to mount your rings.
Well, it better have a good everything, because when you're in the market against things like the Ruger All-American, All-American Predator, and the Axis, Savage Axis, it's kind of hard-pressed to tell a guy who's just getting into this or has multiple rifles that picking up a Browning for $1,000 MSRP is worth it compared to picking up a Ruger for $350.
Well, I've been practicing my retail sales pitch, and I think it really comes down to you're going to be buying quality, and you're going to be buying something that's going to be that, like you said before, heirloom, something that it's going to last you your lifetime, and you'll be able to pass it down. It's almost like saying, how could you talk somebody into a Benelli when the Mossberg 500 or whatever equivalent exists on the market? Well, there's obviously a huge gap in quality and performance and just longevity of the firearm.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not arguing that in the least bit. I'm just saying depends on who your market is, who you're going to. You can do the whole buy once, cry once thing, or you can just be punching well above your pocketbook and go, you know what, I'm not doing this, or I am doing this. I mean, some people will step out and the very first gun they buy is one of these, or a Nighthawk custom, because they want to buy a 45 for the first time, or a pistol for the first time. There are people that will do that.
Yeah, now...
Or there are people that that'll work up to this.
Yeah, I just did a quick search, and based on, what was their MSRP? $8.95 or
yeah, something like that.
Oh, I'm sorry, $9.39. I was way off. But anyways, they're coming up. I just did a quick search and seeing them for the lowest price $765, up to around 770s to the low 8s. So you can get them for a good bit less than the MSRP, which is always to be expected.
Yeah, and that's what I bought my Browning X-Bolt 300 Win Mag like 7 years ago. It was like my first deer gun. That's about how much we paid for it. So that actually surprises me that street price, obviously. I always kind of forget that's going to be a lot more forgiving and more appealing.
Yeah, that's something I've been trying to focus on whenever we talk about these things, because there's always a couple $100 difference.
Yeah.
Depends on availability too, because understand MSRP only means that if not everybody in the world wants to line up and get one. KSG shotguns is a good example. They finally got down to normal prices. Last year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Other than that, they were going for more than their MSRP.
Yep.
Much more.
Yeah.
Oh, don't tell me.
Cool.
Don't remind me.
Got one of those too.
If you're in the market for a varmint gun, be sure to check out these Brownings when you can. So next up, we got something for the Ruger 1022 crowd. We actually got a handful of products here I wanted to let you guys know about. So obviously we've got the Charger pistol, which was re-released this year. And it's kind of a hot-selling item. Of course, I was kind of anticipating accessories just for the Charger to come out, and I found that Ravenwood is putting out a pistol kit to turn the Charger pistol into somewhat of an AR pistol-looking platform. So if you're one of those guys that wants to make their Ruger 1022 look more tactical, you tried the Archangel kit, or you admired it, you'd be able to do this with your pistol too. So it's got a full-length Picatinny rail. It's got kind of a mock AR-15 magazine well, but you can still use your Ruger BX-25 and BX. I'm assuming the 15-rounders that are coming out soon will fit in that, as well as your standard 10-round rotary magazines from Ruger will fit in there. It's got a aluminum 6-sided fore-end. It's got a nose cone that looks like it's got teeth on it, so almost like if you were going to be like jabbing it into a barricade to shoot. I don't understand why that has that on there.
Yeah,
maybe just for aggressive looks.
Took me a few minutes to figure out what that was
cool.
for, and I think you might be right with the barricade thing, because especially on the rifle, the barrel extends past it, so you're kind of like, what is that for? It's not like a impact device, because the barrel would be in the way, but it's you're probably right about it being for, you can jab it into a tree or some kind of barricade to help you stabilize.
Yeah, I mean, they got it on their full-size kit for the full-size 1022, so I think they're just kind of keeping with the same family of parts.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a nice pistol grip that's not the A2 AR-15 pistol grip that comes on the new Chargers. So it's no slip texture. Looks like it might have a little bit of recoil reduction. I can't tell whether that's done with just a softer polymers or some rubber overmolding. But it does lower the shooter's hand to align the finger with the trigger, which I think is kind of an issue with the Chargers right now, is the finger placement is a little skewed to me. It's made out of DuPont polymers, kind of similar to Magpul, so it's got good chemical and extreme temperature resistance, a limited lifetime warranty, and they are made in the USA. So if you wanted to turn your Ruger 1022 Charger pistol into this, it would run you about $119.99 MSRP from their website.
Yeah,
so let's hear it. What do you guys think?
If this is the kind of thing you're into, it's definitely a cool option. But one thing, I had one of those Archangel 1022 stocks for a little while, and nothing against the stock itself, but the way it attached to the firearm, it kind of like clamshelled the receiver in there. So to take it apart, you had to take the scope off, take this top cover off, and then pull it all apart. So it was a kind of a pain to disassemble. And this one has that same kind of disassembly. So if if you do like to take your gun apart and clean it, that is a consideration for this type. You know, if you're less inclined to just run a bore snake in it and keep on going kind of thing, you know, it'd be a little more pain in the butt to take it down. One thing I found kind of curious, I was looking at it and I said, man, that grip looks awful familiar, and it's kind of hit me. I was like, that's like an ATI grip, like it is. It has to be.
Yeah.
And so I went onto ATI's website, and actually they sell this product. It's not called the Ravenwood. It's called the ATI Ruger Charger, which I thought was a little odd. I guess maybe ATI licensed it out to Ravenwood or something along those lines, or vice versa. I don't know, because there's definitely Ravenwood logos on it. But if you're familiar with ATI, I'm assuming ATI makes them.
Yeah, I was looking at it because I have checked out ATI for a while. Actually, I have an ATI kit on my shotgun, a buttstock on my shotgun. And yeah, this is straight ATI, all of it.
Mm-hmm. And then especially, honestly, we haven't gotten into it, but I guess now's as good a time as any. The companion rifle version of this, which has all the same features except the fore-end is, you know, more of a rifle length instead of a pistol length, and then it's got the rifle stock. All the receiver area is the same. It's just got a longer fore-end and the stock. And actually, the stock stood out because a friend of mine just bought an ATI stock for his 1022, and it's the same exact adjustable, collapsible buttstock. So I was like, I think that's an ATI. So whenever I looked it up on ATI's website, I found it. I mean, that doesn't really mean anything, I guess. You know, people cross-brand all the time. So.
No.
But I do. It's got a lot of aesthetic features. You know, like the faux safety, bolt catch. What else? The forward assist. So it's got pretty much everything you'd find on an AR, except they're just all replica, non-working. You know, so they put a lot of effort into trying to make it accurate. So if that's what you're trying to recreate, then that'd be pretty neat. One thing I'm curious about is if on the pistol where the buffer tube would normally attach, I'm wondering if that's plugged somehow, if it's threaded, or if it's just plugged and you can't do anything with it. But I'm kind of curious if you could throw a
SBR
buffer tube on this and make it and register as an SBR, because that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, you saw that too, huh?
Yeah, they don't show a good rear angle from it, so I'm not sure if that is the case or not.
I would imagine that in order to make that, the ATF would probably harp on them if they don't do something to make that where it's harder to do. We just can't like screw in just a standard AR-15 buffer tube and put a stock on there and rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know, where they make it do something.
But at the same time, how hard is it to make an AR-15 short barrel rifle, anyways? Like it's kind of.
Do you have an AR-15? Yes. Do you have a pistol? Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
you got an SBR, brother.
You can buy a 10-inch barrel off Amazon and do that. So I mean, it's not hard. Yes. So I wouldn't imagine. I don't know.
If you want to take a nice Ruger 1022 pistol and turn it into a faux AR-15 pistol, this is the kit for you.
Yeah.
Make it dust it up and make it look pretty. Although I personally like the way my Ruger 1022 pistol looks. I don't know if I want to put that on it. And as far as I'm concerned, the little spikes in the front are just decoration.
Yeah.
Never give them any functional
I'm
purpose
kind of thinking the same thing. They're more decoration, but I can kind of see where, you know, if you think about like a 3-gunning or some kind of type of action sport where you have to brace up against something, they do add these kinds of things like the grip stops and such. So I guess kind of giving you that utility, I guess. But also, I mean, it's pretty cool that they give you the rail mounting options on the sides. They're not. I don't think it comes with additional rails, but they sell the rail pieces that you can put on there. So rather like that Archangel stock that I had, there was no. I mean, this was years ago, so they may have changed it since then. But there was no way to mount rails at the 3 and 9. So if you wanted something on the sides, you were out of luck. But they do give you that functionality, which is pretty good.
Yeah, these rails don't look like they're at the 3, 6, and 9. They're more like at the 10, 2, 5, and 7 or something.
Yeah, which is, kind of odd, but hey, I don't know.
Well, I look at it like this. As somebody who at one time, because of Jersey's stupid laws and I'd finally got around to being able to purchase a firearm with a firearms ID card. And the first thing I ordered was a 1022 because I always wanted a 1022. Well, that was my self-defense gun. You know what I mean? That was the one where I lived. That's the only firearm I have. So if poop hits the fan, horrible things happen, and I'm reduced to having a 22 rifle, protecting myself and my family. The cool thing about something like this is you can do the light and laser attachments and whatever, and set this up like you do your AR. And another reason you can set it up like you do your AR is if you want to practice placement with this. It can be the same as on your AR. You can go to the range, you can shoot it with your optic, you can shoot it with your laser, you can manipulate your light, and you can do all that practice, including firing it using 22 ammo. And then you can put all your stuff or have, a copy of that, a cheaper copy of that on the 22 and have your good stuff on your AR, and you're pretty much set up. You don't have to fire as many rounds to practice firing your firearm, your main firearm, if you use it as a training device. I mean, that's another reason you can use a kit like this to train up on your AR.
Yeah, definitely. Or if you're, you're trying to get somebody into it and not sure, it's always a fun trainer. Sometimes younger shooters, they see it and it's like, oh, cool. They like that assault rifle in air quotes aesthetic, and help kind of get them into it. Anything to help new shooters get into the sports.
I don't care what you have to do to get new shooters in. We need new shooters in. Everything from airsoft to paintball to video games to doing this. Bring people into the sport is a good thing.
Yep.
I guess what I'm seeing is this thing's about $180. What's a 1022 cost? Another $180, $200?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, $200.
Right. And that's just, you don't need to go crazy with it because you're going to take the stock off, throw it away, and put it in here. I mean, that's about the price of an M&P 22, a Smith & Wesson M&P 22, so something else.
But don't forget, you can still pick up a used one also. And yeah, Smith & Wesson M&P 22s are great, or pick up a used 1022, especially one with a cracked stock or a beat-up stock, and drop it in this. Hard to kill them.
Yeah.
Oh, no, 1022 is a great platform.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like Rob mentioned, the rifle one, the pistol one that we're just talking about originally is the $119.99, and the rifle version is $179.99. So.
Yep. Yeah, there's obviously on ATI's website the Ravenwood logo. It says developed in conjunction with Ravenwood, so
okay.
we were partially on the right trail.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, podcast detective team go. Yeah, so kind of cool. I mean, I still like the classic look, especially the takedown. If this worked with the takedown, then I'd be a little bit more interested. But it looks like it clamps over the receiver and around the barrel, so it's not going to be able to take down with the takedown version. So
right, it specifically says will not
really
take the takedown model.
Yeah.
So
I've been paying that much for something that's got fake controls on it, so that just kind of seems like something you do with an airsoft rifle to make it look more authentic. But to each his own. If you've got the pistol, at least I can say you have good choice in that because you bought the Ruger Charger, and those things are just cool. What you did afterwards is between you and your God, so have fun with that.
Yeah, they're even way cooler when you take the little barrel thread off there and you put a can on there and go to the gun range.
Yeah.
Or Tony, it would look good on this, one of those big pancake comps or whatever they're called.
Yeah, the Strike Industries cookie cutter comp. Because nothing like something the size of a saucer on the end of your 1022.
Right.
Because I want my 1022 to weigh as much as a World War II BAR.
So what's up next?
So, speaking of 1022s, I saw a pretty cool innovation as far as the magazines go. So the Hightower Armory company is putting out 25 round windowed 1022 magazines, which is, we've never seen a windowed magazine for 1022s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're usually either smoke
so
or solid, so not necessarily windowed like this.
Yeah, so they look like they're very high quality. I mean, that's just from pictures, so that's an objective point of view. But it looks like they're using quality polymers. It almost looks like a PMag, but it's a 1022 style magazine. So it's got the curve, the glass, or I guess I'd call it the plastic that you're looking through in the window. It does look like a little murky, a little foggy. You can still kind of see your rounds. You can basically tell, if you're got a half mag or full mag, or you're running low on, you're about to run out. But it's not an extremely detailed view. Looks like there's a little bit of distortion in that.
Yeah, it's a little fuzzy, but we don't know if this is a high-use prototype or something like that. So maybe the production ones will be a little clearer than that. But,
yeah. Good.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that honestly the coolest feature, at first when I saw this, we'll cover the MSRP first, it's $29.99, and with Ruger's BX25 coming out recently, what is it? You can get them for $25, something like that. I haven't bought one, so I'm not entirely sure. But so at first I saw this and I was like, okay, why do I want a $30 Ruger 1022 magazine when I can buy a factory one for $5 less? And then I started looking at it, and this thing's actually pretty cool, because with the one of the big things with the BX25 is it's got all those screws on the side that you have to, those Allen screws on the side that you have to take that off, and it comes apart in like a clamshell. But this one has like almost like a PMag style base plate, so you just push in the little divot and push the bottom off, and everything comes out. And so that adds a lot. You can clean the thing a whole lot easier. But while you have it apart, the windows that Ryan was talking about, you can remove those, and it gives you the utility of, if you're familiar with, honestly, I think pretty much any 1020 or any 22. That little stud on the side, to where it's each to the magazine, you can pull the follower down and just kind of drop them in, like a Ruger Mark Series or something like that. So I thought that was really neat. You could load your 25 round magazines a heck of a lot quicker with that.
Yeah, I definitely think that, and they do come in different colors. I don't know if you mentioned that. So it looks like there's a black, there's a flat dark earth, and what looks to be like a sand or a what would you call that?
I'm not sure. They don't actually, they have a drop down to select the color, but it doesn't come up, which just leads me to believe that they'll just put those up when they come into stock. But I don't think they say in the notes either, but it almost kind of looks like a black, maybe either an OD or foliage green, a flat dark earth, and maybe sand, like you're saying, that light gray, or that light tan that Magpul's going with lately for people to die. it kind of looks similar to that. I wish they listed them, so because you never know, pictures on computers are crazy. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Ryan's running a Mac, so his pictures should look immaculate.
Yeah. Well, my color correction should be pretty good, but this company, HTA, they make a PS90 chassis for the 1022. They call it the 9022, and so they've actually got a picture of it in the 9022, and it looks pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely cool.
Yeah, and it matches that color pretty well. They've got a couple. Just if you guys were interested, I should have had that stock on the show, because that's pretty interesting to talk about too. Maybe we'll save that for next week.
Yeah.
But they've got that in flat dark earth, desert tan. They even do OD green and hydro dip, to where you can get it in kind of like an ATAX pattern. That's going on next week's show notes. That's worth talking about. Those are neat looking. And the best part of all is that it gives you a bullpup 1022, and you do not have to give Red Jacket Firearms any of your money. So that's That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I was wondering.
yeah.
I was wondering if anyone's going to mention that.
Yeah, I got it.
Trust me, that is
One thing
awesome.
just happened to notice on this magazine when I made the picture larger, it has like little hash marks, I guess you could say. It's got like little triangles for like the 10, 15, 20, 25, I guess, loaded to where you can look down and see what level it's at rather than thinking, I think it's about 10, so it gives you a marker to tell you, bullets are here, that means you have 10. So that's pretty neat too, that they give you some kind of a counter. And one thing I really liked, the magazine lips, the feed lips are steel rather than some of the kind of weird polymer that might get damaged. So that's really good too, because you especially with 22s kind of get a lot more abuse just because they get kind of thrown around and stuff like that. So those steel lips should come in handy. But one thing I really liked, if you watch the video that's linked to the product page, there's a video at the bottom, and the guy takes it apart, and to go between the window, like the actual solid-sided window and the open-sided, for you to be able to use that pull-down, you have to take the two little side clear pieces out. And the magazine was designed to where they stow inside the magazine. So you take them off and you put them inside the magazine so you don't run the risk of losing them. Because it's kind of like one of those things, it's like, well, what if I want it windowed for easy loading, but I'm going somewhere dusty and I want to throw the windows back in it to keep the dust out. But you're digging around your cluttered up closet and you can't find them. Well, this solves that by just keeping them all together. So that's really neat. That's some forward thinking right there, because most people probably would have just said, they can keep up with them, and then they lose them and have to buy more, or you're just out of luck.
I think this is a really good idea, and I can't wait till Ruger steals it and makes them next year. Because maybe they'll make them in 15 rounders, and I could have them.
Looks like there's a nice orange follower, or at least a round part of the follower that corresponds with those triangles to tell you how many rounds you have in there. So even though it's your last round, or I guess technically the first round you loaded in the magazine, it's probably about an inch and a quarter away from that, but it still corresponds with those marks. So I'm looking at a picture, it looks like it's fully loaded to 25. I can see through the window there's an orange part, and that 25 triangle is pointing right at it. So as you shoot, the follower indicator will be at the next triangle, which would be 20 rounds, and so on and so on. So you'd be able to essentially see when you only have 5 rounds left or less, because that follower will be moving up the magazine body. So I think it's a really intelligent design. Obviously, most windowed magazines have that already, so it's not like it's reinventing the wheel. But I think it'd be definitely worth trying these out for $5 over the what seems to be the standard for 25-round magazines.
Right, because I think even the Butler Creek steel lip magazines, I don't remember if the Rugers have steel lips. Do they? Does anybody have?
Yes, they have steel lips.
Yes.
I couldn't remember if the 25s had them or not. I knew the 10s did, but I wasn't sure if the 25s did.
No, 25s do.
Okay. Yeah, so I think the Butler Creek steel lips are actually right around this price too, and then so it's like with that you get this that additional loading feature and ease of cleaning, because you cannot take those Butler Creeks apart. You can take the Rugers apart, can't take the Butler Creeks apart. And this one comes apart a whole heck of a lot easier than the Ruger.
Yeah,
cool.
But the only thing I've seen anywhere near that kind of a magazine is the HC3R. Have you guys heard of that HC3R magazine?
Mm-mm.
And for good reason. I've tried it in my 1022. I've never been able to get the darn thing to work. Cool idea. It's got like the little cutaway on the side where you can see the ammo that's left in the magazine, but it's got an idea where you can actually take the magazine apart and insert a piece into it with your preloaded rounds to just kind of quickly load it. I've never been able to get mine to work. Never. It's a jam-o-matic in my experience.
I see. It looks kind of like a stripper clip guide on this kind of built into it.
You're supposed to take the little tab on the side, the the follower assist, pull it all the way down, lock it into place, and you just remove the one that's in there, then you put the new stripper clip in there, release the tension on the spring, and it's supposed to put them all back up, and then you're supposed to like shake it a little bit before you release the tension on the spring, so the 22 caliber rounds will fall into place. I've never been able to do it.
So it's the worst of both worlds.
Yeah. I know some people swear by them. Some people swear by them. After a couple times trying, I just said, screw it. Give me the regular 1022 regular magazines. I'll load them the hard way. I mean, if I could get it to work, that'd be cool, because you just slide the rounds into a little stripper clip, basically. Put the stripper clip in the back of the magazine, shake and bake, and put it back together.
Yeah. Wow.
But anyways.
So the website for those is hightowerarmory.com. If you want to check that out, it's in their shop. So moving on, TJ, you wanted to talk about that Timberwolf frame?
Yeah, I actually had a review this week. I think it's been a while, so I will actually do a review.
Yeah,
so I just posted this. I just posted this today. It's kind of lengthy, so I'm going to try to speed it up here. Now, back when I was at NRA annual meetings in April, I talked to the marketing manager, Zach, at Lone Wolf, and I've been wanting to look at one of these for a while, and I know Ryan had one for a little while too, the full size, but I wanted to check out the compact. So we talked to him, and he sent me one, and since then I have purchased. He sent me the whole pistol, and since then I have purchased the pistol. So, Lone Wolf has been manufacturing all kind of stuff for ages, from slides, barrels, triggers, and everything. You could almost build the full custom Glock using everything just from Lone Wolf, and the only thing that was missing was the frame until somewhat recently. It's been probably about 2 or 3 years. Lone Wolf took into consideration some of the modifications that they see a lot of people making, sending to these custom grip change type places, the people that reduce the grips and do all kind of different things, and they figured they'd give you all these modifications right out of the box with their Timberwolf replacement frame, and which is available in compact and full size. So some of the common modifications people tend to make on the Generation 3 Glocks will include the backstrap reduction, frame texturing, adding the extended magazine release, and even removing some material in a few key places to get a higher grip on the handgun. And Lone Wolf took all of these modifications into consideration when designing their Timberwolf. And so I guess I'll kind of break it down one by one. The grip, one of the biggest benefits to the replacement frame would have to be the grip. The Timberwolf offers 2 choices of backstrap to the shooter. The first is the slim grip. It is incredibly short in the front to back dimension, and they claim it more closely matches the grip angle of the classic 1911. And the second is a swelled backstrap. It's a little smaller in the hand than the standard Glock swell, because that's one thing a lot of people complain about is the thickness in the front to back dimension that the Glock, it's got that hump. And so that's actually my preferred setup of the two, as it feels pretty good. The smaller grip, while being comfortable, leaves kind of being the Glock 19, so it comes like right close to the bottom of my hand. Whenever I put a magazine in, that thin grip is a little bit too thin, so I end up pinching kind of the fat meaty part of my hand at the bottom between the mag base plate and the frame. So I just went ahead and decided to keep the thicker of the two, their swelled backstrap instead of their flared. But one thing I've seen somebody do, they'll use the actual magwell. Lone Wolf offers a magwell for it, and that kind of protects your hand there while still having a pretty compact gun. Making the change is really easy. All you have to do on the inside of the gun, on the inside of the frame, like if you're looking at it, the back, from inside the magazine well toward the back, there's kind of like a little rectangular piece. All you got to do is stick a flathead screwdriver in there and pull, I guess, downward. If you have the gun upside down, it would be upward, and it just slides right out. So they make it really easy. You don't have to knock pins out or do all kind of fancy stuff to get it out. It just slides right out and slides back in with kind of tension, and it's got a little retention lock deal that it's kind of a passive retention. And actually, in my trials of the two different grips, I noticed an odd but very well thought out and well hidden feature. Under the backstrap is actually a round recess that will hold one CR 2032 battery, which is the somewhat industry standard for the micro red dots like the RMRs and such. So it's kind of, I don't know why they don't mention that in their literature, because to me that's a pretty good feature. If you're going to run an RMR on your pistol, you might as well be able to hold an extra battery inside the grip. And I just don't know why they don't brag about that. Well, the next part of the grip is the texture. Many people feel that the Gen 3 Glock grip is just too slick, and I, for one, am in that same boat. It's just too, it's not really a texture as much as it is just kind of a squiggly line pattern that's just not very deep. It doesn't offer much grippage, I guess you could say. And so the Timberwolf offers a pretty aggressive checkering type pattern that's not so aggressive that it ends up, wearing your skin off or anything. It has just enough grip without being uncomfortable. And at the one issue I did have with that, the front edge of the front strap, the lower edge of the front strap, kind of has this curve where the corners of the side of the grip meets the round of the front of it, and one of those kind of wore into my pinky. Like it just kind of caused some discomfort, but that's a little bitty piece of polymer. I could easily just knock it off with a little bit of sandpaper to smooth that out, so it's not a huge gripe. And so speaking of the front strap, one feature many owners elect to remove is from the factory Glocks is the finger grooves, and I find it a little curious that Lone Wolf decided to keep them, knowing that that is such a highly lamented feature, I guess you could say, because I know nobody's hands are exactly the same, and frankly, I think at least with the Gen 4 Glock 19 happens to fit the exact size of my fingers perfectly, but I know that's not the case for everybody, so I was kind of interested, like a little confused why they decided to keep them, but upon keeping them, they decided to make them not nearly as pronounced as the Glock. So even if your fingers are resting on top of the protrusions, it's not super uncomfortable like it would be with some other guns. And then so at the top of the grip, they've undercut the trigger guard, which is another feature many people like to do because it allows you to get a higher grip on the firearm, and as well as the beaver tail, it's cut a little higher too, so you can get a higher grip, reducing your bore axis and making the recoil a little more controllable. And one last minor change I would like to see in the grip is kind of on the sides, where if you're familiar with the kind of factory Glocks, there's two little swells on the inside where your thumb kind of rests. Not, it's not like a ledge or anything, it's just a dip where your thumb rests. That dimension between that and the trigger would be kind of neat if they kind of reduce that a little bit, because I noticed my knuckle sits right funny on that, and it just kind of doesn't offer kind of the best trigger reach. It's better than like the standard Glock Gen 3, but it'd be kind of neat if that was relieved a little bit to kind of provide a smoother transition. But that's just a little gripe. I think everybody's hands are different. I just happen to have smaller hands, so I noticed that thing. But the next pretty big deal is the magazine release, and people have been adding the extended mag releases, and I think Glock even has their own factory extended mag release. If not, plenty of people make them. But what Lone Wolf decided to do was, rather than just making it longer, away from the, I guess if you're looking from the top, it's longer to the left. It's also longer to the back. And this is more if you're familiar with the Gen 4. I guess one thing you have to keep in mind is these Lone Wolves came out before the Gen 4s were introduced. So some of these features are kind of in the same upgrades as the Gen 4. So it's very similar to the Gen 4, but it's extended and it's rounded a little bit rather than having that square corner. And very similar to what I mentioned with that grip on my pinky, the top edge of the magazine is a little bit sharp. So like I said, though, that's pretty easy just to kind of run a fine grit sandpaper over and just kind of round that over if that bothers you like it did me. And the rail on it, rather than using the standard Glock rail, they went with a mill standard 3-slot Picatinny rail. So I'm not really sure. I haven't mounted anything to it. Maybe at one point when Glock had all their proprietary stuff, and the only light you could put on it was a Glock brand light. maybe it was a big deal, but now with the pretty much everybody makes the Glock rail adapters, so or rail mounts. So I'm not sure if there's certain things. Maybe some of the more universal types would fit this rather than the Glock. So I mean, it's not a big deal to not have it or to have it either way. So I think it's good to have it, I guess. And that way you have a slightly wider range of things you can mount to it. But so overall, the Timberwolf frame is very well thought out replacement that anyone that owns a Generation 3 or older Glock handgun in 9, 40, 357 SIG, or even 45 gap. It's also available in the full size, like I mentioned. But I happen to have the compact. The improvement offered by a good grip modification company could run well into the $400 to $500 range, whereas Lone Wolf offers many of these features at a fraction of the cost. Because if you're replacing a Gen 3 frame for a gun you already own, all you have to do is buy the frame, and that's $199, I believe, and it's right around $200, right at $200. So rather than having to spend that $400 to $500, you can buy the Timberwolf and get at least most of the features you're looking for, if not all of them. And I actually do think I said all you have to do is replace the frame. I believe you also have to replace like the trigger, not the trigger. I guess the trigger housing. I forget what that part's called. Yeah, trigger housing, because it is slimmer in that front to back dimension. So they have their own Gen 4 or Timberwolf branded trigger housing that you can get. If you're planning to build a whole new gun and just want multiple lowers, Lone Wolf does offer their pre-assembled lower frame for $330, which still is significantly less than that price I mentioned earlier, which is honestly only about $30 more than buying every single part. If you buy the bare frame and then every single part to go in it, it's going to run right at $300. And honestly, that $30 is kind of like a insurance that you're not going to forget that one little part that you're going to have to pay additional shipping on or something like that. So honestly, I think if you're gonna do that, you might as well just get the pre-built frame rather than trying to build it yourself, because I think that $30 is worth the potential hassle and headache of forgetting a part, because we know we've all forgotten that one part we needed and had to place another order and pay another shipping handling fee. So I'm sure we've all been there. But to make it easier, if you do go that route, if you do want to save the $30 and try not to forget anything, they have an interactive schematic, which if you go to the review, I have that linked as well, and that runs down. You click on the part and it brings you to the product page of that. So that's really convenient that they offer that. Another benefit of buying the assembled frame is that Lone Wolf adds a few enhanced internal parts. The enhancements include their 3.5-pound connector, 6-pound trigger spring, and extended slide stop, and their extended slide lock, which is the kind of takedown lever at the front. The 3.5-pound connector and 6-pound trigger spring make for a very smooth and pretty light trigger pull without kind of sacrificing, if you're going to carry it, it's not so terribly light that it's going to get you in trouble kind of thing. And, some people hold different opinions, and so that's just kind of something you'll have to decide for your own if it's too light for you. But I think it's a pretty good trigger for carry. On this one, I would assume it's factory, because the invoice I got didn't specify that it was different or anything. They put the flat face trigger. Now, if you've ever bought a Glock 19 and a Glock 17, or even just shot either one, you'll notice that the full size has a smooth front trigger, while the anything smaller has the kind of serrated front trigger. And I think that's to get around some kind of import restrictions on something, but I don't know. I've always hated those serrated triggers, so I'm really glad that Lone Wolf offers the smooth trigger. Kind of when you buy the assembled frame, it's automatically in there. And of course, the extended slide stop lets you get a little more better purchase if you use it, or if not, it lets you use it to lock it back easier without trying to miss it. So I guess in summary, the Lone Wolf Compact Timberwolf frame is a great upgrade to your Gen 3 or older Glock pistol, or for building your own custom pistol. It's a great value compared to some of the expensive and long wait times for frame modification work. Some of the features are just on the newer Gen 4 Glocks, but with the Timberwolf, the grip is still slimmer front to back than the OEM, You also wouldn't get the undercut trigger guard, raised and lengthened beaver tail, and reduced finger grooves. I'm sorry, not trigger grooves. At the time this review is, or at the time we're recording, they're actually running a deal right now because the Lone Wolf has their ultimate adjustable trigger, which we've actually, Ryan Machad actually reviewed on Firearms Insider a couple months ago, and he really liked it. But they're running a special to buy this frame or a full-size frame with that trigger installed for only $234.95, which I mean, like I said earlier, the bare frame by itself is $199. So if you buy, you buy the bare frame and the trigger and all the other components are only $35 additional dollars. So if you've ever considered getting one of these, right now would probably be the time, because I talked to Zach again about it. He said they don't really have a timetable on when that deal is going to go away. It's just kind of like we have it right now, and when we decide to change it, we'll change it. So I have no clue how long that price is going to stay, but go check it out while you can, kind of thing, because that UAT Ultimate Adjustable Trigger is normally, I think, at least $50. So you're getting a killer deal on that. So just kind of run back down the features and benefits. You got the improved ergonomics, full spec Picatinny rail, higher grip angle, extended beaver tail to reduce the risk of slide bite, which I don't get, but I know people with larger hands will sometimes get that. Improved trigger, because that trigger is a little bit better than the factory, and the extended slide lock lever. And the aesthetic options, currently the Timberwolf frame is only available in black. It'd be pretty cool to see them come out with some other colors. And I've seen some very favorable third-party reviews, so I've got some of those linked in our review if you want to check those out. And let's see, they're doing pretty good keeping them in stock right now, so if you want to go pick one up, you can probably get them right now. And while you're there, I mean, they have tons of other stuff that you can check out. And so the pros, like I've mentioned, improves ergonomics, available in the bare frame or to build completely to your specifications. The improved trigger, pretty much every caliber Glock offers, minus the 45 and the 10 millimeter. You can build through Lone Wolf. But the cons I had for this thing, as I mentioned earlier, I barely even touched on them, but just because they're so minor, is that it still has the finger grooves, though they are greatly reduced, so it's not the biggest deal in the world, and that the magazine release isn't reversible, which one thing was pretty cool on the Gen 4 Glocks is that you could take the magazine release out and flip it over, but on the Lone Wolf that's not an option. So I gave the frame a 9.0 because this is an excellent upgrade, especially for the price of $200 if you're just replacing the frame, or $330 if you need all the components. And I will be, like I said, I got the entire built pistol, but I figured it would be too lengthy of a review to try to do the whole thing all at once. So I will be, if not next week, pretty soon, reviewing the upper assembly and then the pistol as a whole. So just kind of look out for those.
Cool. Then also, I mean, as you were doing your review, which great job, by the way.
Thank you.
I noticed they had limited edition built pistols right now for sale. They are 2014 edition. They actually say in a very nice script lasered onto the slide, limited edition 2014. They have the full size and compacts, so you can get a fully assembled Lone Wolf Glock 23 or Glock 19. Those are the compacts for about $850. You can also get the 17, 17L, 22, 24, 35, and 35 solid top for between $850 and $950. So if you've ever wanted a Lone Wolf pistol but never wanted to, like, Frankenstein your existing Glock OEM slide onto one of their frames, and maybe you've thought about maybe just selling your OEM Glock and getting an entirely Timberwolf gun, this would be a way to do it.
Yeah, the limited editions too, even, they come completely built out, black, and the slide and the barrel are black, which is actually, I'll get to that in the in the upper end review, that's actually something you generally have to pay a little extra for, is to have it blackened. Everything comes stainless steel factory. You have to pay some kind of premium. I forget what it is. I'll cover that in the actual upper review. So, like Ryan said,
it looks like they only have about 44 guns available, and they will not be made again in this configuration. So, it just says limited quantities. It doesn't tell me what they've sold out of so far. So, if you're listening to this, you might want to jump on that while supplies last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at it, and I always wanted to get a lone wolf. Just one of those things in my head, when you look at something going, how much would it cost to build a pistol like you want, or just buy a factory Glock? And now with $850, limited edition, special paint job, yada yada, only one of 44 made. I mean, $850 isn't that crazy when you consider the custom work you need to do on an OEM Glock to get the features that you have on this.
Yeah.
Still come out ahead. You know what I mean?
Because you're going to spend, we'll say $550 for a factory pistol, and so this is what $300 over that, and obviously that's up to you if those enhancements are worth that $350 to you. Maybe you like the factory Glock and you don't want it. It's all, it's a free market. Decide what you want and what you need. So that is.
I just think the options out there are cool. The thing is, when a lot of people get work done, they know a guy, you know what I mean? Or they have someone they go to that is going to do the stipple job, is going to do the angle, change the angle, that's going to do the grip reduction. And by the time you get it done, some guy has just messed your pistol up. And another thing about it is all these grip reductions and various other things, some people don't know what they're doing. Right. And they're hacking on the factory pistol, and they're making the frame weaker. You don't know when that thing is going to snap. This is built like this from the factory warranty, and it's all safe to use. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's why I quoted that higher price. Some people might see that $400 to $500 for grip reduction and stippling and all that stuff, and they think, well, Joe Bob does it for $100. Well, like Tony just said, what is Joe Bob going to hack away at that's going to compromise the integrity of the pistol? So that's kind of why I quoted the higher price ones, because when you get into the lower price, Instagram gunsmiths, you don't know what you're getting, honestly.
Yeah.
You have no clue, and you're firing at the range, and all of a sudden your gun flies apart, and well, that's all on you. No one's going to cover that. The range isn't going to cover it because you messed your gun up. Factory's not going to cover it because you messed your gun up. And Joe Bob lives in the basement of his mama's house, so you're not getting anything from him either.
Yep, and he met you in the parking lot at Walmart, so you really don't know where he lives.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, like Tony mentioned, I actually did see a case somewhat recently, somewhat off topic. And he had them at kind of like the 2 and 10 o'clock to like that V-type porting, and I guess whoever did it cut too close to the chamber area, I guess where the barrel locks up, and during firing, just the kind of top strap of the slide just ripped off because there wasn't enough material to hold it there. So if you are going to have something like that done, you really need to research your gunsmith, your modifier.
And understand the Timberwolf. I don't know. Look, I don't buy guns to sell guns, so I have no idea what the resale value is on a Timberwolf, even if it's custom. But I'm thinking you do this for you, not to resell something like this.
Right. I know Ryan has some experience reselling it.
Yeah, I miss it. That's all I'll say. I'll miss it. I'm sorry, Zach. I'm sorry.
Yep. Well, that was you got that 357. That's how you got that, right?
Yeah, I did get a 686 plus out of it, which was
and like a boatload of ammo.
Yeah, like 800 rounds. Not to brag. It was a good deal.
Nice.
But anyway, yeah, I look forward to that full review, man, because that's one of my favorite handgun systems. And actually, I mean, you all joke that I'm a Magpul fanboy, but I'm a big fan of Lone Wolf too. So if I had one of them posters, I'd have it right behind me. I swear. So if Zach's listening, send me some mail, buddy. I'll have it on the back of my show all day long.
Do they have posters? Do they have
So-
swag like that?
Oh,
I'm sure he's got to have something.
they got posters. I got a question.
Yeah.
I got a question about holsters, though. Does this use the same Glock holsters? Because the trigger guard is the shape.
Yeah, I don't think I
but it's
mentioned
still
that. The trigger guard is a different shape, but it's only a little bit smaller than the like thickness and the dimensions of the trigger guard are the same. Really, the only thing they did is they got rid of that little hook kind of point at the bottom of the Glock trigger guard. So basically, if you put it in a holster, it's just not going to fill that one little triangular part of the holster. It's not going to be an issue because they didn't change any of the dimensions where you might have retention on the holster. So it fit in the two holsters I tried. One holster that I tried was a little tight, but that might be the holster itself. I haven't tried it with a Timberwolf. I haven't tried it with a factory Glock, so I'm sure. But it's still serviceable. It's not like you're tugging on it really hard, like it's not made for it. It still fits, really well. So you're going to be covered on holsters. You can order a standard Glock 19, Glock 17 holster, and it'll fit in it.
Cool.
Can't wait.
That's cool.
Yep. So next
I got
up
one of
for
the.
Oh, sorry.
So I
Go
got
ahead.
one of the replacement barrels for my Glock 21 to shoot suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, but I was looking around the website and I saw this disclosure, and I just thought it was hilarious. For those in Connecticut, purchasing a threaded barrel may constitute your pistol as an assault weapon and must be registered with the appropriate government agency. And just because my uncle lives in Connecticut, I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. See, whenever I see one of those little disclaimers, I just gloss right over them because none of them ever apply to me. So
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that, Rob.
I just saw that and I wanted to point. I thought it was funny.
Yeah. So for the tech gadget or app segment, I've got something that's a little different, a little interesting. I think anyone that shoots long distance rifle, whether it be a semi-automatic AR or a bolt-action rifle, whether it's a hunting rifle, whether it's a really expensive precision gun, this is going to be a product that might pique your interest. So this is from Target Hit Indicator Systems, and they call it the Target Hit Indicator System. So the name of the company is also the name of the product, but it's easier to break it down into the acronym THIS. So this. So it's like, hey man, have you checked this out? Har har. So it's basically a flash system that hooks onto the back of your steel target. So when you impact the steel with a bullet, instead of relying on either visual indication, you see the target swinging, or more prominently, you hear the ping of the bullet fragmenting on the steel plate. If the conditions of the range of the target, or just whether or not you're using old-fashioned earmuffs, are preventing you from really seeing or hearing that you're hitting the target, and it's so far that you can't even make out if it's swaying in the wind or not after that impact, it's really nice to have a light system, something that flashes back at you and indicates that you did have a positive impact on that target, and that's exactly what this system is. So there's a wired system and a wireless system. The only difference between them is $50. So I'm going to be talking about the wireless system because that's cool and it helps to avoid certain, if you have a wire leading from the sensor going along the back of the target or back behind it, you've got danger of maybe some of the spalling from that fragmentation hitting the wire. And they do have a detailed FAQ section on their website, targethitindicatorssystems.com, that tells you how best to avoid that using either zip ties or setting it off at a 45-degree angle to avoid that. They've done a lot of testing to make sure that you're not going to be like putting a hole through some vital components here. But the wireless system is cool because you don't have a wire connecting the flash system to the sensor. Sensor is the only thing that goes on the back of your steel. and it communicates with the sensor, which you then have the freedom. I'm sorry, the sensor communicates with the flash unit, in which you have the freedom to place that anywhere you like. So if you want to place it, behind your target, that's a more safe location. It'll and still highly visible to the shooter's position. So you can, oh hey, it flashed, I hit the target. Yay, let's do it again. That's basically that's it, and it's awesome. It's a good product. I know that I've shot a 3-gun match where they replaced shotguns with long-range rifles, and there was some targets out to about 16 to 1700 yards away, and they used a flash system just so all of us at the shooting platform could tell when somebody hit the thing, because it was so far out there. It was a hot day. There's a lot of mirage out there. Nobody had a, $8,000 spotting scope to be able to, call out the hits for us. So it's really nice having a flash unit. It's basically almost like a flash bulb on a camera. It flashes when the sensor is struck, and you can obviously see that very quickly. You're not relying on the speed of sound for that. The sound of the impact to travel back to your ear. You can see that almost instantaneously because the speed of light is faster than the speed of sound. We all took science class. So it's a pretty sweet system, pretty ingenious, and it's pretty affordable. $150, and you can have this set up. You can set it up anywhere. If you can put your steel way out in the woods, you can hook this up to this, and you can somehow strap it using, it does come with a tripod. It's got some pretty flexible legs on it, but you can also set up the flash unit onto a branch of a tree if you wanted to, and it would give you that indication that you hit your target. So I think that I'll read what it includes. So it comes with the sensor/transmitter, comes with the bracket, the receiver, the tripod, a flash unit, a carrying case. It's actually, like a handgun case, like you just bought from SIG or Smith or Springfield. It's a really nice pistol case, what it seems like, and then instructions for use. So everything comes in a nice kit. Very easy to transport it to the range. How the bracket is set up is, it's got 2 ears that you run a Velcro strap through, and that's what really secures the sensor in place. It does have a kind of a lip on it so that the sensor doesn't slip out of that Velcro strap and fall out. So it's going to be in there securely. And there's a half end of this bracket that you could then run if you have a gong set up for your steel target. You can just loop that over the whatever chain is holding onto your AR-500 or whatever your steel you're shooting at. You could use that eyelet to run it through that one link, and then that would affix it to the back. I've been in contact with the owner, and he also told me that duct tape works really well if you forget the bracket at home for whatever reason. He said he's duct taped this to the back of a steel target, and he still got positive indication. So I'll have it to review. So this is just kind of a teaser for you guys. It fits really well into the tech gadget or app segment, and it lets you know that I am going to be doing a review on this. My target is a action target system, and so it's got kind of a gooseneck attached to the target head. So it's a little different. There's nothing for me to put that bracket on. I can my own hole and mount that bracket to me. Oh, hey, there's a thing out. I don't know if you ever heard of it. So I gotta go back to my range and just duct tape it to the back. So they got lots of pictures on their website showing the setup, showing the actual camera, which I'm sure took several attempts to do, showing it going off at a long distance. On the product page, it says the flash is visible up to 1.5 miles away from the shooter with the naked eye. So you can imagine if you were the kind of guy that wanted to push that out farther, if you had just a simple spotting scope trained on where that flash unit is, you could definitely get a good reading on that as well. But with the naked eye, without having to rely on optics to assist, That's actually really nice, especially if it's some kind of competitive setting. The person who's doing the scoring can very clearly see it went off and to mark that as a hit. There's an FAQ as far as questions people have asked. Is it waterproof? It's water resistant, but it's a piece of electronic equipment. With mild rain during shooting and has worked flawlessly, but if it's a real downpour, just putting it under cover or pulling it in and waiting for it to dry out.
Yep.
So you can use wired.
It'll survive the rain long enough for you to go run down and get it. Huh?
Right. Yeah. So you can have I want to hook up multiple systems. Like if you have a left and a right target, and you want two of these systems for each of the, or one system for each one of those targets, you can easily accomplish that. If you have the wired system, they use a to attach either multiple flash units to one sensor unit, or also have the ability to attach one flash unit to multiple sensor units. You can have one flash unit that'll go off whether you hit the right target or the left target, or you can just use one sensor to go to another flash unit. And then wirelessly, they can also achieve this by just programming transmitters to work on just a different channel. So when you're purchasing it, you just let them know that you like that option, and they can do that for you. They do have all the replacement parts for sale, so if you're shooting at something that's bound to Murphy's Law, it's going to be hit eventually if you're not paying close attention. They sell replacement parts for everything, so that's really great. They found that placing the flash unit back behind the target at about a 45-degree angle prevents damage from any bullet fragmentation. The batteries for the wireless, they said that batteries are only used during impacts. So they say a set of batteries should last well over 100 impacts on a target. And those batteries is what comes along with the kit.
Are those rechargeables?
But there's also a self-tapping screw that you could also use, and that's available also. Also, if you do get the wired version, they have suggestions on how to protect the connecting cable using ties to tie it to at the chain or lead it along at the 45-degree angle. Another option is taking a metal pipe of some sort and zip tying it to the chains or a rubber strap that they use to hang the steel from the target, just to make sure that cable is. Sensitivity goes. That's probably your next question as well. Will this work with my 22 long rifle? If that's all I shoot, I don't shoot big bullets that are going to make a big impact and deliver energy into that steel. They say that they have been able to consistently set off the flash unit using standard velocity 22 ammunition in a rifle. I plan on testing that. I plan on using various velocity types, even some subsonics, to see if that consistency drops off a little, to see if I'm using CCI subsonics, lighter weight grains, CCI CB longs, because those are my preferred subsonic ammunition for my 1022. I'll see how close do I have to get to shoot those. So it'll be all sorts of fun. I'll also shoot it with some 308 subsonics, as well as some 300 blackout, and a full-scale review. What do you guys think?
I think it's a good idea. I like it. Of course, I'd get the wireless because I know me, and I'll shoot everything downrange except the target. I'll blow a hole through the light. I'll cut all the wires, and I'll shoot the stand into parts. So yeah, I'd get the wireless version.
Yeah, that was my thought. This is a great tool until I got a hold of it. I blew the whole darn thing apart and missed the target.
Yeah, I think the utility of that wireless for a $50 premium over the wired version, I mean, it's almost negligible. When you think about the hassle you're gonna save by going wireless. So I think if you're gonna the wired is 100 and the wireless is 150, so it's almost like you might as well just get the wireless. I guess if you're a little more budget conscious, you'd go wired, but I would imagine you'd probably end up kicking yourself pretty soon after for having to set all that up every time rather than just having the wireless set up. So that'd be pretty neat, and I'm definitely curious on what you say about it, because I think, did I hear you say 1,600 yards at that match, or was that a?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were trying to push a mile.
That's crazy. I would not.
I don't have
expect
access. I don't have that. Yeah. I don't really have access to that anymore. I mean, I'd have to drive like 4 hours is not a bad excuse to go drive out there, but yeah, that they did use a system similar to that at that range, and it was almost required because only one guy hit it. Of course, there was such a mirage and so much wind going on in that little gully that I'm surprised that everyone could see it from the line. Someone hit it. Who was that?
Yeah, it says it's.
Yeah, but this thing makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so basically it's like a camera.
I mean, if
flash.
you've got electronic.
And we all know how bright those things are, so you ought to be able to see it. Like it says, 1.5 miles. I'm sure as anybody that's ever had their picture taken and walked around running into walls afterwards because the flash is so bright, you ought to be able to see pretty well.
It's because I usually shoot with electronic earmuffs, but because I can't get a good cheek rest on my rifle with those earmuffs on. I've even got the what are those? The Impact Sport ones. So the best electronic earmuffs I can get that are as slim as possible, and they still interrupt my cheek weld. So I usually just use plugs. Well, that kind of eliminates the point of being able to hear my ting, especially when somebody else, there's 2 or 3 other shooters and they're touching off rounds. I got a hard time sometimes even hearing at 300 yards, being hit by my own bullet because I've got everyone else shooting into the berms, into the dirt. So it's a really smart system.
I didn't really even think about it
Go
from
ahead,
that aspect of. I didn't even really think about it from that aspect of using hearing protection. You might not hear that ting if you're, a few hundred yards out. It's just not going to be very, very loud, and then you have your plugs in, so you're just thinking you hit it. Well, this would tell you definitely hit it.
Yeah. And if you're shooting like a 338 Lapua or a 338 Edge with a massive muzzle brake on there, you've probably even got double ear protection in. You've got plugs in as well as earmuffs over the top of that. You're probably trying to shoot far away, over 1,000 yards, so it just makes sense that you need to be able to see whether you hit your steel or else you're just going to get frustrated. So this is the perfect system for that, and I'm surprised how affordable it is. That's even if you own events, it's a no-brainer to get some of these systems, because even if you hear the ting, that flash is just an added cool factor that reaffirms it's this shooter. Even for new shooters too, and people that have never shot over 100 yards, if there's something flashing at them, it's that extra excitement of confirmation. Oh, I hit it! That's awesome.
Multiple senses.
The whole draw of steel. Yeah. Tantalizing the senses at the range.
What I wonder, because I was thinking any negatives, because I see a lot of positives, like you guys, the price, the wireless, all that is positive. I wonder how light, if you get a 22 out to 300 yards when you're shooting a 22 long rifle, will that activate the light? Like what is the velocity of something hitting that target that it won't be activated? You got bets going for drinks after the range. If you can hit with your pistol out to 200 yards on this target, will the 9mm sound this off? You know what I mean? Just a question. Just questions about slower velocity rounds hitting us, lighter slower velocity rounds hitting us.
Well, sir, it's my duty duty as a reviewer to investigate for that for you, and I will do that.
There you go.
You know, and I'll even put the subsonics in my 308, and I mean it's like equivalent of a 44 or 45 ACP. They're just 220 grain going, you know, under the speed of sound, so they're, you know, 1,000 feet per second, you know, 1,080. So actually, it's a little bit faster than 45, but by the time it reaches it at 100 and 200 yards, it'll definitely be in 45 ACP range. So I'll be testing that. I'll be testing it with my 22 pistol to see how close I have to get in order to get 100% consistent hits. I'll be testing it with my 22 rifle as well, with different velocity ammunitions. I'll do a thorough job on this, guys, so you can look forward to that.
Because this seems like a great idea.
Basically, my backyard is going to look like a rave.
There you go. Yeah. The only thing you be careful of is with something like this system. I set it up out there, get back to the shooting area, and then last gust of wind it come up, knock over the little flash bulb. Then I have to go back out there and set it up and stake it down.
Well, I mean, the tripod, you'd be able to spread those legs pretty good. If you've got wind, it wouldn't be a bad idea to drive a stake into the ground and then just zip tie it to the stake. I did see a picture. They had it, I think they call it the gorilla pod or monkey pod, but it's like a tripod with very flexible tentacle legs, and you could use that to wrap around a branch, and I don't think the wind's going to blow that over.
Yeah, I have one of those. Those things are awesome. To hold things up, like with my camera when I was videotaping, you can hold that onto something, and it would just stay there. Those pod legs are really cool.
Sweet.
So we're sitting
yeah,
about
stay tuned
rounds.
for that.
I was wondering, was that a typo? Really, only 100 rounds hitting the target, and then you need to put fresh batteries in it?
Well, I think that might be dependent on whether you have the wired or wireless system. If the wireless uses a specialized battery, whereas the wired system might be a more commercial battery, like something you can get at the supermarket. He is sending me a new battery because before I even got to test this out, they just said, "Hey, we've gotten some reports that the batteries are have been a little questionable." So they were sending me out the new one they've been using that's been a lot more consistent. So I should probably have that today or probably tomorrow or sometime in later this week. But I'll definitely let you guys know and ask him a little bit more about the battery life, because 100. Yeah, you're right. 100 shots. I mean, for a bolt-action rifle, that's a long day at the range shooting 100 shots. You guys might be thinking, "Oh, I can burn through 100 on my 9mm in like under an hour." But yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'll let you guys know.
This looks like a 35mm flash like I used to have on my cameras. So, I mean, those things will eat up some batteries because between taking pictures, it has to recycle and recharge up to do that flash. And it probably takes quite a bit of power to do that, so it might not be that far off.
Okay.
Brian, is the battery on it rechargeable?
I will let you guys know when I get to see the new battery.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, more than likely, you probably just need to bring a couple extra sets of batteries to the range with you.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be one of those where you definitely want to make sure you put fresh batteries on every time you take it out. Because that would be a pain to get through like 10 or 12 rounds and go, "Oh, crap, it ran out of batteries."
My question is, why...
Don't leave it duct taped to the target as you're going down the dirt road and your back of your Jeep's jumping up and down and it's setting that thing off in your cab.
Good point. Good point.
That's funny. Yeah, I wonder what the lumens... Why'd they do this? Because wouldn't one of those higher lumen flashlights... I mean, I don't know anything about it, but I'm just thinking, you know what I mean? The technology is past that 35mm flash. We have cheap freaking flashlights that do 1,000 lumens like the one TJ has on his freaking rifle.
Yeah, but this one right here is already set up where what you gotta do is just complete the circuit. Boom, it'll trip the light to go off. If you do a flashlight or something else like that, they'd probably have to go in there and mess around with the internal wiring of the flashlight. But
Yeah.
I mean, they could do that.
Probably has a lot
Yeah, I
to
know.
do
It
with
was just
focused intensity and all that stuff.
I do have
Okay.
some answers for you because I'm actually having a Facebook conversation with the gentleman right now. So he said that the 100-shot estimate is on the flash is because of the capacitor inside. He said the batteries in the sensor are lithium ion and are rechargeable.
okay. Cool.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I'd like one, but I'm limited here where I'm at the particular range I shoot at to 200 yards, so I can hear a ding on metal at 200. But still, I was looking at the prices for the stand with the unit. It's still reasonable. Everything like one-stop shopping. It doesn't look like a bad thing at what, $220? Between $220 and $290 for the wireless with the target stand with everything included, and looks like out the door, not a bad deal at all. Much cheaper than I thought it would be. Oh, cool!
Yeah.
And they have law enforcement, firefighter, EMS, and active duty military discounts.
Yep. And then if you do not have a steel target, they also provide, they sell targets on their website too, which is pretty awesome. So they got target stands and targets. They got AR 550, 10-inch, and 12-inch. They kind of hang like a diamond because they've got the hole in only one of the corners, which is really conducive to their product because it only needs that one hole, and so it can hang vertically behind that steel plate. So then both of those are 3/8 inch thick. They do have target stands available also. They've got the stand. They've got the stand with the target package at different price points. They've got brackets and legs and all that. So you could essentially, either buy your target or buy the parts to build it yourself, in order to get this running at your range or in your backyard just right. So check it. If you guys want to check that out, and like I said, I'll have that review. Hopefully in the next few episodes, I should have that up for you guys to check out. But we are running a little high on this episode, so I'm going to go ahead and start closing off. Of course, listener feedback is welcome, as always. And second is for everyone, diversity shoots. Tony, can you give me like a 30-second plug for yourself?
Hold on. Yeah, 30-second plug. Second is for everyone, diversity shoot is happening at the Gun for Hire range in Woodland Park, New Jersey, next Thursday at 6 p.m. Come by, have fun. If you can't make it, why don't you check out Simon Says Train on Instagram? That's my new Instagram page. Thank you very much for putting up with me every week with this. Next shoot is scheduled for February 4th. How's that?
That was only 20 seconds. Good job, man.
You're welcome.
Sweet. So send questions or comments to myself at podcast@firearmsinsider.tv or cross@firearmsradio.tv. If you want to chew my butt out for being a little rusty on this episode, be my guest. Bring it on. Remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review, and we'll have some more giveaways here before Christmas. I promise you that. I've got a lot of patches that I've designed from Patriot Patch Co. I think I might give some of those away on the show just because I love my listeners. Check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.tv/iTunes, and be sure to visit the Firearms Insider for reviews and industry coverage. So thank you again to my panel of experts. TJ, Tony, and Rob, thank you so much for joining me on this show. And everyone sign out, say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
See you guys later.
Yep, get till the next episode.